the thing that I keep hearing over and over again is about what lessons did we learn from COVID? There are a million terrible stories about supply issues during COVID. And businesses, potentially could not deliver their products to market because they couldn't get their single-use systems or their filters or whatsoever. And so I think, I hear that looming quite large in people's decision making. And so I think there's work to be done on that topic. And, we whether it's standardization or what does assurance of supply look like as a partner solution between the supply base and the users of these process consumables.
Yeah, Mark, anything jump out at you on the polling results here?
I mean, the too hard to understand got 0%.
It's plumbing. It's plumbing,
Mark,
right, guys?
you made your whole career out of them being hard to understand, and now that number one drive, it's time for retirement.
I tried to make it different. Yeah, I've tried to simplify. I guess my work is done. Yeah, I think that's probably true for our audience, but that differently. Hard to understand and fear. I think some of these questions are related to fear, like the reliability, robustness, and leaks is something that I always hear about. People are concerned that the systems just aren't gonna stand up. But we have answers for that. But it's often a beginner concern, if you will, or when you present to management, they're concerned about leaks, particles, extractables has come up in this conversation. I'm pretty sure most people who use the word extractables don't really know what they're talking about, but they know that it's something to be worried about. So then as single-use professionals or someone recommending the technology, you got to be prepared to answer those questions. And hopefully some of the groups that we've talked about in this presentation or this webinar will be helpful to those of you who want to learn more. We mentioned BPSA, ASTM, ASME, BPE, the ISPE certainly is a good source. They have a good practices guide for single use. PDA, Technical Report 66. Paul is one of the authors. That's almost 10 years old now, right, Paul? And I think,
gosh.
2014-ish. Because I gave a presentation based on one of the chapters you guys wrote or sections, like in 2015 or 16. But
2014.
Yeah, but I still think
I had it in reach. Yeah.
I go back to that all the time. It's very well presented, and it also had a nice section about functional equivalence, which ties in nicely with our dual sourcing discussion or alternate parts, supply chain security aspects. So if any of you are newer to the field, sure, it's 10 years old, and I know everything that's 10 minutes old is old hat, but I think that PDA Technical Report 66 is well worth going after as a primer and as a way to help educate your colleagues on the technology.
Well worth eight years of my life.
It took a while to get it out, didn't it? Yeah.
It did.
Well, yeah. Paul, now you're making it sound scary. You said just a few minutes ago, and I loved what you said when you said, if you think they should work on standards or provide better standards, go in the bathroom, look in the mirror, and realize that they is you. But now you're making that involvement sound kind of scary, saying it took 8 years in your life.
We just were very ambitious. It's 150 pages, fits and starts. We didn't know where we were going when we started. I can only make sure I give a shout out to Bob Repetto, who led the group and really picked us up off the ground and pointed us in the right direction. And eventually, I'd say the first few years we were just, I don't want to rehash old stories. So yeah, you're right, Matt. It wasn't a standards writing exercise, right? At that time, PDA was not an accredited standards writing body. Standards tend to be much tighter scope, and so the progression toward getting them written is not nearly as difficult.
Yeah.
Thanks for catching me on that.
This hour plus has flown by. There's so much more to get to, but we are short on time. So I'm going to give you each an opportunity just to share some sort of pithy parting shots, if you wished. If there's a thing or two that you would like our audience to tuck away with them. You've both been fantastic, by the way. I mean, a ton of information here. It's a great panel. I know we tried to cover a lot. We did cover a lot, and you guys did great. But Paul, since you're big on my screen, I'll let you start. Pithy parting shot.
I guess I would reiterate my call to action to those in the audience that do see need for standardization and are in a position to have your employer support your participation in these things. It's great for your network. It's great for your professional development. And throw yourself at it. And then and if you're not happy with the result, then you've only got yourself to blame.
Yeah. Mark, your turn.
Yeah. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a good plug for the Bioprocess Systems Alliance, or BPSA. We have our annual summit event in Washington, D.C., July 22nd to 24th. You can register for that now at the website. There will be a intensely single-use focused audience. We're proud of the fact that we have both users, bioprocess companies, as well as suppliers in the organization. Great networking, great topics, and opportunity to get involved and talk to people like Paul and others who've been heavily involved. We're all happy to get more volunteers in if necessary, but you're welcome to come to the event and not volunteer for anything, but I'm sure you'll get something out of it just by attending. So hope you can come and join us in Washington in July.
Fantastic. Like I said, you guys have both been terrific. A lot of value shared here. Great feedback from the audience. So thank you so much for coming on and spending an hour with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Matt.
We'll
do it again sometime.
Thanks,
this was fun.
Absolutely.
And apologies to those who had questions that we didn't get to. Hopefully we touched on most of them, at least tangentially.
Yeah. We'll try to follow up if we can. Fantastic.
Yeah, be happy to.
So Rachel just asked the question just now, will a recording of this presentation be shared anywhere? It will. So using the same link that you used to register, I think Miles, within 24 hours, well within 24 hours usually, using the same link, you can access the on-demand version. And we encourage you to share that far and wide. Share it with your friends, share it with your colleagues, share it with your mom. That'll absolutely be available. So I'd also once again like to thank Colder Products Company and Integris for their support of this discussion. It will be available here, like I said, within 24 hours. Also want to just make a quick plug, mark June 11th at 11 a.m. Eastern on your calendars and tune in for our next Bioprocess Online live digital event. That's going to be on bioprocess intensification, which will dovetail nicely with this conversation and continuous manufacturing. We're going to feature AstraZeneca's Dr. Irina Ramos on that event and another special guest. In the meantime, do visit bioprocessonline.com, subscribe to our newsletter, and subscribe to the Business of Biotech podcast. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great rest of your week.